Back in your life, like the president of the country you live in, lying about releasing a pedophile list. This is the Golden Ticket Show here on the For Frequency Sake podcast network. We are shorthanded. This is a different host. We are here for the fun regardless. No Danny, no Steve, as of now at least. He might be joining us eventually from the uh, the wonders of first class. Uh, Although it sounds like someone's private jet, they're in the air right now. It sounds like they're in one of those old school airplanes with the propellers right in the background. I'm just kidding. But we are joined by some trusty gents tonight, as always, Don and Kev. How we doing, boys? Y'all good?
I'm not. I'm not gonna lie. I think you might just have to open up the intros from now on because Danny just. Hey guys, it's Gus Gimlin here, back for another episode of the Go Ticket Show. And add some life to it. You gotta have some life to this.
Hey, I thought last week he did pretty good. He told me that he was gonna start jacking the back in your life gimmick, and I thought he did a pretty good job, all things considered. I was very proud of him. So, but yeah, look, we gotta flesh things out. We gotta, be limber. Kev, I've felt bad for you lately. I see the guys in the chat dogging you about Kyle Schwarber. I hope you are okay.
I'll be fine. He's still a bum. It's all right.
There we go. Order has been restored. America is healing, folks. Real quick before we go any further, whatever platform you're watching us on, please like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you really like it at For Frequency Sake QC. Tell a friend. You don't have to tell all of them. Just tell one. That'll go a long way. And also subscribe to our Substack, forfrequencysake.substack.com. Don is just wearing out his writing fingers. They are, like, all of his college football previews have been going up. We're doing fantasy football previews. The lot of us, we've been throwing stuff on there for each NFL team. We're in the midst of those. I think we got the NFC South on deck to wrap the week up, correct?
Yeah. So we should have the Tampa Bay Bucks up and ready to go for tomorrow.
Lovely. Love that.
Noon p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central.
There we go. The fantasy forecasts out and about. So make sure you go to our Substack. We're putting so much great content out there, as well as our daily newsletter. MLB trade deadline was today. There's a lot of great stuff on there. I'm sure the guys will have a lot of stuff to add to the newsletter regarding the trade deadline coming up for this weekend. So, did y'all have any good trade deadline stuff for your baseball teams today, or do we just grind on? My Cubs decided to do not the bare minimum, but they did the unsexy moves, and now we're all fake angry about it.
Let's see. I was hearing from multiple people last night that the Red Sox were going to try and get Yandy Diaz, Merrill Kelly, Dylan Cease, that top prospect from the Padres that ended up going to the A's for Mason Miller, Joe Ryan, and we ended up with Steven Matz and Dustin May. And for Dustin May, we traded the top prospect we got back from the Giants in the Devers trade. And for Steven Matz, we just traded, Blaze Jordan, the kid who's been hitting 400-foot home runs since he was 14 years old.
And the Red Sox, too, got pumped. We got pump faked that the Red Sox acquired Joe Ryan for 5 seconds.
Embarrassing.
And then I thought the Cubs were going to get him. And then they didn't. Nobody, but the Twins decided to trade literally everybody that is under their roster contractually for the next X amount of years. So, congratulations to the Minnesota Twins fans. Rest in peace to them, and shout out to their family. Have any good baseball news for you today, other than Kyle Schwarber? Maybe did something good or bad. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, there wasn't enough games today. I don't think they even played. But I was a little shocked the Nats didn't trade Mackenzie Gore. I'm a Nats fan. But I think with just all the turmoil with losing, getting rid of your GM and your coach in the middle of the season, the role in that. Knowing the learners, but they're not making team. So if you trade him this offseason, you're not going to get as much as you would have gotten for him now. So I was a little disappointed they didn't just go ahead and pull the trigger. But I don't know. Maybe they decide to finally spend some money, or maybe they finally decide to sell the team, and we get some ownership that's okay with spending money and bringing some guys to support Gorham Wood. But I'm not very hopeful around that.
Yeah, because the Cubs traded for Soroka from the Nats.
Yeah.
And then they were the hottest team linked to Gore, but from everything I saw, they wanted like all of the Cubs' top prospects, and the Cubs were like,
yeah, probably too steep of a price. Yeah,
I would have been fine with trading all of them except for Ballesteros, the guy who got called up, who's been called up a couple times this year, but it is what it is. We'll see how the Cubs do. I'm very 50-50. I wish they carried themselves like a big market team, but. Woe is me, I guess. That's it for today's MLB trade deadline talk. Unfortunately, we will not have a 50-minute synopsis on the Hall of Fame game. But what we do have is our final set of college football win totals. This is going to be a little bit different than the last few weeks. Obviously, we've gone through every power conference. Last week, the boys held it down on the Big 12 without me. So we're gonna rock through it today. Today we are going to go through the Group of 5 conferences with some rapid fire, as well as the independent schools. Well, we're just going to talk about Notre Dame because, in the words of Don, I'm going to out him here. I don't want to talk about Connecticut football. How dare you?
You should have out me. They're fucking terrible.
# more than a basketball school. Put that on a T-shirt. So let's start with Notre Dame. They are the obvious kings of the castle here of all the teams we are going to talk about. This is how unprepared I am. Do you have a win total for them, Don? Because I was looking at one thing and I forgot to look at their actual win
10.5.
10.5 at plus money right now.
Thank you very much. So schedule-wise, they start the season against Miami, and for all intents and purposes, that is a true road game, if I'm not mistaken, correct? In Miami?
Miami, yes.
That is at Hard Rock. Week 2 they host Texas A&M. Week 3 they get Purdue at home. Then they go to Arkansas, Boise State at home. That should be fun. NC State at home, USC at home. So a nice homestand. Then they go to Boston College, and then they finish their final 4 games with Navy at home. They go to Pitt, Syracuse at home, and they end the season at Stanford. Don, we'll start with you, then we'll go to Kev. We'll go back and forth here with this Notre Dame team. Last year's national runner-ups, they lost a couple pieces, but they still got a lot of like really good players back. The biggest wild card, it seems, is going to be their quarterback, the newcomer C.J. Carr. Can he replace Riley Leonard? What say you, Don, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
I think my favorite thing when talking about the narrative of Notre Dame football this coming year is the fact that everybody, when they look originally at their schedule, right, and you look at the first couple weeks, Miami, Texas A&M, then you have the Purdue game at Arkansas, Boise State. Everybody looks at those first 5 games and goes, "Wow, they got a gauntlet coming out the gate." Purdue's a dumpster fire. Everybody is super high on this Miami team. Carson Beck's not a good quarterback. You'll see it in week 1 against the talented Notre Dame defense. And then towards the back half of the year, you get a bad Stanford team. Syracuse is going to be bad. Navy was good last year, and people are talking about them potentially sneaking and winning the AAC this year. Just stop it right now. Don't even bother.
We even saw last year when Navy was rolling, they played Notre Dame, and there was just, as good as Navy was, there was a different level of athlete on the field.
Exactly. I think you'll find out what Notre Dame team you'll get this year within the first 2 weeks. Because usually what they do is within the first 2 weeks, they schedule like a big game. Like last year, people forget they played Texas A&M at Texas A&M last year. They beat them 23-13 in week 1, set the tone, and then they got their doors blown off of them by Northern Illinois the following week. So it was just we'll see what happens with this team. I'm under the umbrella that like this should be an 11-1, 12-0 team. CJ Carr is a true freshman starting at quarterback for them. 4-star recruit, very high. A lot of people are very high on this kid. I've seen a little bit. I'm sold on him because I think he's perfect for what Notre Dame needs, and he's just someone like O'Reilly Leonard last year to manage the game with a 1A and a 1B in the backfield of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price to lead the way. Offensive line, they're solid. When you're looking at this group, they lose two of their guys, but they return veterans like Antoine Knapp and Styles. Prescott, which definitely helps anchor the edges. Inside, they're tough. With their guard duties, you get Ashton Craig returning as a junior at center. And again, this defense is coming off a national title run. Brand new defensive coordinator. I'm excited for this team. I think over is 100% in the cards, but it's one of those things where I don't bet Notre Dame solely based on the fact that they can literally – I've learned at a young age, the more you bet on Notre Dame, the more they break your heart. And yes, they could have easily one of the toughest first half schedules that there is out there, but the second half, it's cooling off. So if they can win their first two games, I think 12-0 is easily on the table. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what we get from CJ Carr, the 4-star true freshman, especially in week 1 in Miami at Hard Rock, an NFL caliber stadium. Because I think there's a chance that CJ Carr plays like Bo Nix did freshman year when Auburn went to Oregon and Auburn beat them.
That's not a bad take there. Different styles of offense, obviously.
Correct.
But yeah, that's not a bad take at all. The thing going, you mentioned the offensive line for Notre Dame. Like a lot of those guys that are back on this year's team had to play last year because of all the offensive line injuries, So like a lot of those guys throughout the year, like I know this guy mainly because he's from the area that I live in, Charles Jagusaw. He was supposed to be their starting left tackle. He got hurt in the preseason, but then was their tackle that was there got hurt in the playoff, and Jagusaw came back in the semifinals. And then he played in the national title game. So but it wasn't just him. They had a plethora. They had a couple guys on their line get hurt last year, and had some young guys step up. Marcus Freeman has done a pretty good job at the recruiting trail in order to get some guys, and they have some pros in some spots. Jeremiah Love, I think, is a savage. They got some pros on their defense. I agree with you when it comes to the talent here. They might not be able to match up guy for guy with some teams, but this team is not a slouch at all. Kev, where do you lay on the Fighting Irish?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to have another very successful year. I don't think at Miami is that tough. It's one of those stadiums that really, honestly, yeah, it's a road game, but Miami fans are transient. They're not, they don't really show up for their team as a lot of other schools do. And then they get Texas A&M at home. To Don's point, if they can go 2-0 there, I think this is easily 12-0 record for them. The only thing, and you guys kind of alluded to it a little bit, is they tend to trip up against teams they shouldn't necessarily trip up against. So will that happen again this year? Maybe like an at Arkansas or USC at home, something like that. But I think their schedule overall is fairly easy. You got a lot of those tougher teams at home early in the schedule. Then you get teams like Boston College, Pitt, and Stanford on the road. So a little travel there, but I think they'll be just fine. As you guys mentioned, Jeremiah Love is a stud. They should just give him the ball, 35 times a game. They have a couple decent wide receivers. With CJ Carr and what's the other guy, Kenny Minchie. I know Carr is starting, but we don't know enough about their quarterbacks. Are they going to be able to manage the game like a Riley Leonard? Are they going to be throwing the ball more? That's the one I worry about that a little bit. And then their defensive line, as you guys mentioned as well, was kind of picked apart from the NFL draft and transfers and such not. So does the defensive line still hold up? Because that was one of their bigger strengths last year. I mean, their defensive backs are really good. Their linebackers are really good. So the rest of the defense should be fine. But I kind of worry about will they give up more on the run this year without a dominant defensive line. But I do like the over, quite frankly, because I think Miami's not that tough of a game. And getting Texas A&M at home, I think they start off well. So I think they probably go 12-0, but worst case, I think 11-1.
Yeah, if they get through that first, sorry, Dom, if they get through that first two games 2-0, is the toughest game, Don, the Boise State game? Is that the game? Is that like the trap game in air quotes that's staring you in the face? Like this could be dicey.
I think when you look at their schedule, I think it's USC before the bye.
Mm-hmm.
I think USC before the bye is definitely their trapping game because with Boise, there's no look ahead spot for them. Like you're coming back from Arkansas, and you don't know exactly what kind of Boise State team you're going to get, specifically based off the fact that they don't have the Ashton Jeanty factor. So you don't know what this Boise State offense is going to look like. Like Maddox Madison looked good last year because he could run the play action based off of just the scary number 2 that was in the backfield. They don't have that this year. So I think that's where you got to take that with a grain of salt. And I think USC always plays them tough. That's like it's right there. It's their quote unquote gauntlet. A&M after the bye, after week 2, in week 3, Purdue, you go to Arkansas, you get Boise, and then you get NC State and USC. I think they look ahead right before the bye, and I think that's probably a game that they lose. If they win that game right now, you can get them to go the regular season, to finish the regular season undefeated at plus 380, which is the best odds for any team in the country, basically because of how easy their schedule gets down the stretch.
Do you think that they need to go 11-1 to make the playoff?
I think as long as – so I will say this. If they lose 2 games, but it's to like A&M and USC, argument. But again, their road games, it's Miami, which really isn't a road game. Arkansas is going to be a loud place for them. And I think with Taylor Green and Sam Pittman, that there's a potential upset spot there. You go to BC, where BC doesn't take football seriously. You go to Pitt, and you go to Stanford. All that does is just like all your big games are at home.
Mm-hmm. That's
after
big.
week 1.
And their biggest opponent like all of November is going to be themselves. Like
exactly.
unless Pitt is actually good, which I know you guys were like 50-50 on when we were doing the ACC, but that's like a big thing. Like if Pitt is feisty, then that could be a fun game. But outside of that, it's a whole lot of cruising and not boozing, but this isn't Georgia we're talking about. But hey,
it's one of those. It's just Notre Dame football. Like there's no don't get me wrong. Jeremiah Love is hands down probably the best running back in the country and probably going to be a first-round draft pick in this year in the 2026 NFL draft. That is probably without a shadow of a doubt. Now, how do you build off of that? That is where things get a little tricky, and that's where I'm curious to see how everything will look. But at the end of the day here, I think you're only as good as your coach. And the way that Marcus Freeman coached last year gave them a lot of confidence, and I think that they can build that confidence going up into this season with a true freshman starting at quarterback.
Going to be fun, that is for sure. I will agree with you guys on with y'all. I think over. I think Notre Dame's really good. I think this team is going to build on last season. I think I don't think it's a failed season if they don't get back to like the semis or the title game, but I think this is another step forward for this program. All right, let's go with the group of 5 schools. We're going to go through we're going to go through each league, kind of give what our best play is, talk about the odds as a whole. Let's start with the American Conference. Tulane is the favorite. They are plus 330, then followed up by UTSA, Navy, South Florida, and Memphis. UTSA is plus 430, Navy at plus 480, and then South Florida and Memphis both at plus 550. And then there's a huge jump to Army after that. Tulane, news for them recently. They just got BYU transferred quarterback Jake Retzlaff. Question is going to be will he be able to play games? Is a suspension coming, or would that have only been the case if he stayed at BYU? Who knows? Regardless, I'm a John Summerall guy. He is a stud coach. They had a solid team last year, just missed out on they did win I believe they did win the American last year, correct? Or did they lose in the conference title game?
They played for the title.
They were in the thick of it, as one of probably pretty much the only non-Mountain West team that actually had a realistic shot to be the Group of 5 team to make the playoff. So that is just a look at Tulane in general, but bit of a deep bag at the top of this league. Gentlemen, we'll start with y'all. What are some of your favorite looks? Who are some teams that you're high on in the American in 2025?
Yeah, I like UTSA coming in. I feel like they got a little bit of an easier schedule. I mean, Tulane obviously favored, I think, a lot because of Retzlaff coming in, but they do have some studs on defense as well. But they have a tougher schedule than UTSA, in my opinion, at least in conference. UTSA road games are at Charlotte, at North Texas, at Temple, at South Florida. They get Army at home, they get ECU at home, and they get Tulane at home. I think that Tulane game is going to be crazy for the conference. Could be a determination of which one of these teams makes it to the championship. UTSA's over-under right now is just at 7.5. Now, the line's not great. It's minus 144, but I think they get to 8 wins personally. I mean, they have to start out with Texas A&M, so that's a loss. But then they get Texas State and Incarnate Word. And I don't think Colorado State's as good as people think they're going to be as far as like a G5 team. So I think they're sitting at 3-1 coming into conference play personally. And then I think they can get 5 wins in conference.
There we go. Don, what about you? Any thoughts on UTSA? And then who's one of your favorites in the American this season?
I think, when you're looking at UTSA, obviously losing Frank Harris definitely hurts. But again, like you said, I think their schedule is very good. When you look at UTSA as a whole, I think Owen McCown was a big reason why they were good down the stretch. 3,400 yards last year, 25 total touchdowns, huge for them. I think they have an experienced offensive line, which definitely helps. The only thing that hurts, I think, is the fact that UTSA's defense is completely rebuilding. They bring back 0 starters. Only 2 out of their top 14 tacklers are back. You get guys like Kendrick Blackshear from Alabama and Shad Banks from TCU to come bolster your linebacker unit. A lot of concern in the cornerback, especially with some of these teams that can pass. I think UTSA is like a year away from being back and good. I think Owen McCown is solid for them. Looking at I think they win 8 games because they're over, I believe, is at 7.5 last I looked. I think they can get there, but other than that, the hopes aren't high for me. The hopes for me this year is South Florida. Obviously, they had high hopes last year. Byron Brown goes down and kind of screws up their momentum there, which definitely hurt them. And I think if they can get him healthy again, they have a tough schedule to start off. Their non-con, they are playing, I believe, almost every solid Florida team that is out there. Like, I know they played Florida. I believe, if I remember correctly, they also play.
They play Miami right after Florida.
They host Boise State on the first Thursday of the year. Then they go to Florida, to Miami. That's their first 3 games.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, if you can steal one of those games, if you can go 1-2 going into conference play there, get just a little bit of momentum, that they're going to easily cash over their win total. looking at where they're at right now to win the AAC currently, they're plus 550, which I don't think is bad. You know, I think Memphis at plus 550 isn't terrible either. I think a long shot for me, North Texas. I think their defense is solid, even though they bring back only 4 guys. Offensive line, they lose a couple starters, but they're known for rebuilding quickly. I like the receiver room. I like Mackenzie McGill, who broke out last year with 470 yards and 10 touchdowns for them as a freshman. I just think the AAC, everybody's going to say it's going to be Tulane to lose, especially because Tulane's been in the AAC title game the last 2 seasons. So you kind of want to put them in there. But, again, Darian Mensah's gone. You don't know if Red Sox are going to be able to play for them. I think what's going to hurt them more is, they lose Willie Fritz. 2 years ago, Summerall looked real good for them last year. But I think losing Makai Hughes, who goes to Oregon, is going to hurt that team a lot more than people are going to realize early on. So I think right now South Florida is my play for me at plus 550. I would take their over, and I think they'll probably play Tulane in the college football playoff. Jesus Christ, in the fucking AAC championship game. But I'll take the plus 550 for USF right now.
You stole my guys. I was going to talk. I'm a sucker in conferences like this. I'm a sucker for players that can be force multipliers, and Byron Brown can be that. He's just got to stay healthy. He's got a lot of juice, and if he can be healthy, the start of their year sucks. So like they're going to have to win. If you are thinking long term, like if South Florida was awesome and they were a playoff contender, the problem is they might have 3 losses. They might start 0-3. Now, if they beat Boise State in week 1, that might be the time to shoot off some South Florida playoff futures. Just light those up, see what you can get, or maybe wait till they lose the next 2 games and then start ripping them up, knowing that they beat Boise. So, I'm not saying I like USF to the playoff, but I like them as a pick here in this league. We already went through Conference USA a while back, so we're going to skip over them, and we're going to go to the greatest conference on planet Earth, and it is the MAC. Shout out to us Midwestern folk, just out here grinding. Toledo at the favorites at plus 210, Ohio at plus 300, Buffalo at plus 450. Gentlemen, Don, we'll start with you. Any Maction love here in the early stages, and what could be the MAC swan song? You got teams that are starting to try to get out of the MAC now. Who would have thought that there would be so much elitism in the Group of 5? It breaks my heart.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's crazy to think about. But with the MAC, I think there are a couple teams that are like clearly the better. I think the Toledo's and the Ohio's are really better than everybody. I'm curious, obviously, UMass going in the MAC for the first time would be interesting to me. I'm curious how they look against the MAC teams overall. But I think for being a team that's kind of sneaky, even though they lose a lot of offensive production, potentially with this guy coming in, could be very, very good. I kind of like Miami of Ohio at plus 600. Them getting Daquan Finn back in action. Obviously, you have Brett Gabbert, and trying to replace him is going to be hard. But Finn, healthy, dual threat, and you've seen what he can do in action before. I think they rebuilt their whole offensive line, which is definitely going to be hard going forward. But I think the defense will come together. I think there's a chance that they can easily hit their win total. I was looking at their win total earlier, Kev, and I was curious to get your thought about it. It was 6.5 at plus 116.
Yeah, you actually stole my team.
I mean, this is why it's kind of hard to compare, because you just sit there and you go, okay, there's this team, and maybe there is this team. But I
Yeah, no,
mean,
no, I was gonna say I'm high on Miami.
I mean, they get Toledo at
Yeah.
home. They get Toledo at home.
I mean, I think with the win total of only 6.5 at plus money, and then as you said, plus 600 to win the conference, I think they win more than. I think they get to 7 easy, quite frankly. I mean, their first two are going to be tough, but not as tough as some others. I mean, at Wisconsin, at Rutgers, but you get UNLV at home, then you get Lindenwood. I didn't even realize that Kansas team had a football team. And then you kind of your first 4 games of the action are, yeah, you have to go on the road at Northern Illinois and at Akron, but it's not like you start off with Ohio and Toledo, right? So you kind of get to walk into the action a little bit in those first 4 games, and then you deal with the better teams at the end with Ohio, Toledo, and Buffalo. So if they can kind of run off some wins, starting with that potentially that UNLV game, and build some momentum, stealing one from Northern Illinois or Akron, and then taking both the home games against the directional Michigan schools, I think they're right in the mix. And I'm high on them. Plus, I just like their odds in general as conference winners.
That is, 6-1 there is pretty tasty. I'm trying to think. I mean, are there any rambunctious long shots here? It gets pretty tough in a league like this for someone to kind of just come out of the mud.
I have a question about one. My boy Fast Breaks has them as a long shot to win at 20-1. The Central Michigan Chippewas.
Okay.
Their win total is only at 5.5 at plus money. So their schedule is as follows. So they avoid Ohio and Miami of Ohio. Their non-con games, so they play 3 road games start of the year. At San Jose State, could be a toss-up. At Pitt, at Michigan. Then they get Wagner at home. They get Eastern Michigan at home. They get Akron. They got to go to Akron. Bye week at Bowling Green. Home versus UMass at Western Michigan. Bye week, Buffalo at Kent State, Toledo. Thoughts?
I think our boy's high on them because they're running like the triple option or something, right? And it's not something we see in action. I think I remember him telling me that. So it's going to be a little different for those teams. They're not used to seeing that style of play. I mean, I like that angle, but I'm not sold on it as much as he is.
So they bring in Matt Drinkle to be their new head coach. However, their offensive coordinator, Jim Chapin, is very much so known as the power spread scheme guy, which he had in Eastern Washington. So they're going to run faster, spread it out a little bit more, but they're going to stick with an emphasis on establishing the run to open out the passing game. So that is why I am kind of curious. And when Joe Lava's back, I mean, he played solid for him last year in 6 games. I don't know. I just thought the schedule was getting Toledo at home at the end of the year and not having to play either Ohio or Miami of Ohio, I thought was huge. And then they get Buffalo at home, too.
Yeah, because they do get some of their tougher games at home. Although sometimes, if you're trying to cash it over like this, you would want the tough games to be on the road, and you would want the easy games to be or the toss-ups to be at home. Because let's assume they lost. Now, depends on if you're trying to cash the plus 2,000 to win the conference, or if you're just trying to cash the plus money on the over. That's different than how you're actually going to look at this grand scheme of thing. But if you're trying to get to 6-6, if you're trying to get to a bowl game, which is what we're basically talking about here, you would assume your no doubter L's are Toledo and Buffalo in league play. Your no doubter wins, Akron, Kent State, and UMass. But then you got 50-50 games. You get one of them at home in Eastern. And then you got to go on the road to Western Michigan and Bowling Green. And you're going to probably have to win one or both of those to cash 6 and 6. It's not impossible. It's just that's kind of sometimes how you got to map. At least that's how I kind of map out when you're trying to do stuff, when you're trying to take advantage of a number with teams like this.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to root for Steve on the sidelines. How about that?
Yeah, I'm cheering for all of us. I hope we all do great. Next up, this is the league that probably, at least last year, it had the most juice of teams trying to make the playoff. This year, Boise State comes in as a minus 160 favorite for the college football or for the Mountain West Conference. They are the defending conference champs. They won all their league games last year, and they went to the playoff. UNLV is the closest to them at plus 750. San Jose State, Fresno State, Air Force, Colorado State are after that. Kev, we'll start with you. The Boise State Blue Turfs or the field in the Mountain West Conference in 2025?
Yeah, I like the field personally. Mainly, I actually like UNLV. Now I'm drawing a blank on the coach they just brought in there.
Dan Mullen.
Yeah, Dan Mullen. I mean, I know their quarterback situation isn't great. Origi, has he figured out how to throw the ball? So I don't know where we're looking at there, but I don't think Boise is going to be as good, and maybe they proved me wrong. But I think Genty played a big part in how successful they were last year. Just his ability to, you never know if he's going to break 5 tackles and then run for 50 yards. As Don mentioned earlier in the show, it opened up their passing game a lot, having them back there. I don't think they're going to be quite as successful with the guys they have now and being able to do that. So I think this is going to be a closer race than people think. And my horse I'm going with is UNLV. Again, when I've looked at their schedule, UNLV's road games aren't that tough, and their schedule in general is not that tough. I mean, the road games are at Sam Houston, at Miami of Ohio, in conference at Wyoming, got one tough one at Boise State, but then at Colorado State, at Nevada. And then they have kind of a weak out-of-conference schedule playing, I believe, their FCS, Idaho State, and then you get UCLA at home, which I think will be a very interesting game. That'll kind of tell us not only is Nico working out in UCLA, but how good UNLV is. So I'm very interested in that game. But I like UNLV just because I don't think Boise State's going to be as good.
Dan Mullen's been chomping at the bit ever since the Gators kind of disintegrated under his watch. So it'll be very intriguing to see what UNLV has in store. Don, what do you got? What are your thoughts on the Mountain West?
So I think the Mountain West is interesting because obviously, you want to believe in a team like UNLV. You want to believe in a team like Air Force. You want to believe in a team like Fresno State to go up against a team like Boise State, which, by the way, my friends were looking. They were like, I need a future that's very decently long odds, but has a good chance of hitting. And I looked at all of them last year, and I said, listen, it's new. The way that the college football playoff is all fucked up right now. Do yourself a favor and take Boise State at plus 480 to make the college football playoff. My friends listened to me. Or we were at the casino and had the slip, and then became the biggest Ashton Genty guy that I could imagine. And they made the college football playoffs a 3 seed. He cashed out his bet, and he goes, what do you got for me this year? And obviously, we talked about it. Kansas State's my big one. coming out of the Big 12. But for this league in particular, I like this team. They returned 9 starters for a team that won 7 games last year. And I think that there's just an overall different feel. And I think there's a chance that this team could literally run the table based off their schedule. I'm going to take San Jose State at 10-1 to win the Mountain West. So you get Walker Eager back, who it was between him and Emmett Brown. Egan won it out and forced Emmett Brown to go to Coastal Carolina, which is huge. They get all through their big backs that they had last year, back in Floyd Chalk, Jabari Bates, and Lamar Radcliffe. Obviously, losing Nick Nash definitely hurts, but the good news is they have a guy in Matthew Coleman who is going to be like the next big thing for them. Cooper Hawk's going to get a bigger workload for them. They bring in Danny Scudero from Sacramento State that could definitely help. Offensive line, it's not going to impress you by any means, but if their offensive line can get to the level that I think they can get at, this team could win 10 games. Yes, you play Texas. Big whoop.
What's the line for that? What is the line week 4 when they go to Stanford?
Or week 5 in that matchup? I think they're
week 5. Sorry,
I think they're getting 3.5, and I think that's an easy money line spot. I think that the one loss in conference that they'll have this year is San Diego State. At San Diego State towards the end of the year, I think they beat everybody else in the conference. So they don't play Boise State, they don't play UNLV. They play neither of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think their schedule is that hard. I like Walker Eager. I like what Niu Malatolo did in his first year there, and I think he can build off that. I think there's a chance that this team gets to 10 wins. And right now, when you look at their win total right now, I was looking at it. Their win total right now is 7.5 at plus 114. Okay? For them to win 10 regular season games, you can get them at – where did they go? I had it up.
All the way at the bottom somewhere.
Them to win 10 plus regular season games is only plus 500.
What about this? San Jose State to make the college football playoff at 40-1.
I mean, if you go 11-1 and win the Mountain West and beat Boise, there's a good chance they get in there.
Someone has to get in at the end of the day. 2 of the 12 spots will be taken up by a Big 12 team and one of the teams we're talking about right now in the group of 5.
Well, I have one for you, but we'll get in when we talk about that. When we talk about that conference.
Okay. Well, we only have one conference left, unless we're talking about the Pac-2 here.
Not talking about the Pac-2.
And you're a big Oregon State or Washington State guy.
Incorrect.
But the last conference we have here is the Fun Belt.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of good stuff that comes out of this league on a yearly basis. The games are competitive. This is a league that's usually a hotbed for like future coaches at like the Power 4 level. Big fan of what this league has. Let's start with you, Don. You're feeling it. The mic is hot. I can feel the warmth through my computer right now. Let it rip. Who do you got winning the Sun? What is your favorite Sun Belt play?
So, the 2 teams that I really love in the Sun Belt, I'll tell you right now, is the team that I think is going to win the conference, and James Madison at plus 280, and then Texas State at plus 650. I think that's your Sun Belt championship game right there, lined up. Okay. Now, when you talk about Texas State, their over 7.5 win total is plus 132, which I think is a fucking crime looking at their schedule. They play Arizona State, but you get Nicholls State, you get Troy at home, you get JMU at home, You get Louisiana Monroe at home. You get South Alabama at home. You get all your good games at home.
And for what it's worth, I think Arizona State's really good. I love Kenny Dillingham. I'm a Kenny Dillingham stan till I die. And I think Sam Levitt's really good. But when they played last year at Texas State, that game was dicey.
Mm-hmm.
Texas State's tough, so that could be a very, very fun late night. Oh, this is a close game.
So I like them. My only issue is who's their starting quarterback's going to be. You lose Jordan McLeod. Jordan McLeod was leaps and bounds one of the better Power 5 or Group of 5 quarterbacks that were out there. Nate Yarnell from Pitt looks like the big name. Keldrick Luster from SMU looks good in camp so far. So we'll see what happens there. But my big team and the team that's 13-1 to make the college football playoff this year is the James Madison Dukes. You bring in Matthew Sluka, the kid from UNLV, originally from Holy Cross, that literally held out for more money. He totaled over 9,400 yards at Holy Cross. He had 318 yards, 6 touchdowns, and an interception in 3 games as a starting quarterback for UNLV last year. They get George Pettaway back, a big time return, 981 yards on the ground, 5 touchdowns. Offensive line, they bring back 4 starters, and they bring in Zach Greenberg from UNC to be their 5th starter. Defensively, yes, they lose some playmakers, but they reloaded with some promising talent. Portal addition. Yes, they lose the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year in Eric O'Neill, but Aiden Gabriel comes in from Notre Dame. A lot of hype around him. That defensive line is going to be huge. Linebacker will be solid for them. Secondary, we see a little bit of significant turnover. But there's a good chance that this is the team here. And you look at their schedule, right? Non-con, Weber State, win. They're going to go to Louisville. That'll probably be a loss. I think they can beat Liberty. And there's a chance that they run away in conference Fun Belt. Georgia Southern at home, at Georgia State, Louisiana Lafayette at home, Old Dominion at home, bye week, 2 weeks to prepare for Texas State at Texas State, at Marshall, App State at home, Washington State at home, at Coastal Carolina. I think there's a chance that this team finishes 11-1, wins the Sun Belt, and makes the college football playoff. 13-1. And it's going to be because of guys like Matthew Sluka.
I'd be here for it. This team has a couple years ago under Cignetti, they started off hot. Obviously, we all knew they weren't going to be able to be eligible for a bowl game, which sucked, but then they kind of fell off at the end of the year. Last year, they were leading their conference. They really didn't have a chance to make the playoff. They weren't that frisky, but they were still pretty good. They fell off again at the end of the season. It would be really nice to see James Madison go coast to coast and put it all together for a full season. And yeah, if they're the team that represents in the Group of 5, that would be good. Kev, your thoughts on the Fun Belt?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys have already stated, it's usually one of the funner leagues. Not only does this happen in football, but also in basketball. It tends just to be an exciting league in general. I'm actually high on South Alabama. The Jaguars, I think Bullock, probably you could maybe even argue that he's better than Getaway, but I think he's probably a little bit worse in my opinion, but he's still a very, very good back, very strong, almost had 900 yards rushing last year, had more than, I believe he had just over 1,000 from the line of scrimmage, receiving and rushing. I am a little nervous about their away schedule because they have to finish at Texas State and then what could potentially be a trap game at Georgia State in October. But I think they're going to hang in there. Now I lost their win total for the year. Does anybody have it up? I just lost it.
South Alabama. So the only thing with South Alabama while I pull up their win total is that I think So you lose 4 games last year, 3 Sunbelt games by 1 score, which definitely hurt. Major Applewhite did a great job in his first season as the head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars. The issue that I have is that the fact of the matter is you look at where offensively they are. You don't have Gio Lopez because he is an UNC. You don't have Fluff Boswell who went to Mississippi State. There's a lot of moving pieces here, and you're going to need guys like Bishop Davenport and Kentrell Bullock to step in. And I just personally don't know with where their schedule is if they can.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like them to win the conference. I just like their win total. That was kind of my team that I liked, even though their line's not great at minus 142, but it's only over 6.5. And I think they can get to 8 wins fairly easy, personally. I think they can finish 8-4 again.
So if you want to take them to win 8 games, to win 8+, you can get them at South Alabama plus 130. So that's not a high jump either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they're 130 there and they're minus 142 to get the 7 wins, that's not a high jump. So
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I like the James Madison play, but I have to use my offshore book for that because I can't bet on them.
13-1, baby.
Hashtag get Devon, get the VPN. So no, I those are some good ones. Can you bet on whether or not South Alabama will score 87 points in a game again this year? That was them last year that did that, correct? Not mistaken on that. Was it them who scored 87 in a game? Thought it was South Alabama. My jokes sometimes don't land. What are some other good group of 5 plays that you guys?
They beat Northwestern State in 87-10.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was making sure that I got it right. I knew I was close. I didn't want to just out myself as being an unknowledgeable man.
A dumb?
Yeah, one of them. One of the dumbs. Any other group of 5 plays, whether it's, we talked about a lot of the favorites. We talked about a lot of teams we like. Are there any that you guys are fading heavily in any of the leagues?
I don't like New Mexico. I mean, their line's not great. It's minus 154 to go under 3.5, but I don't think they win 4 games. I think they're a bad team. I don't like their coach. I think their coach is bad. It would not shock me, at least for me, if they go under that line. Clearly, the books think so as well. But
I think the big one to me is Hawaii at over 5.5. I know Timmy Chang is there and is changing it up, but looking at where their schedule is, I'm not in love with it, and I don't want to take like the under because that's not fun. You hate taking unders in win totals like this because literally then it gets to the point where like you're betting against that team every week and you're just like, oh, man, this is probably the week that they get me.
I hate going unders in general. You're cheering against people. I don't really like that. But
So you guys are anti-hater. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, because the haters are always in the building, my guy. I'm just not one of them.
Insert the meme of the fat kid doing the spoons in his eyes, blocking out the haters. That is this podcast right now. That is the Golden Ticket Show. We are immaculate vibes only. Hashtag. I'm with it. Are we all in on? Is this group think here with James Madison? If we had to go finger gun to head, who's the group of 5 representative in the 12-team playoff? Would it be James Madison?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Again, as we talked about the Mountain West, I just don't think Boise State's going to be as good as everybody thinks they're going to be.
And it's not fun to just pick Boise State again, right?
No.
No.
No, because the odds aren't as good as it was a year ago.
Was there any of those teams that you can remember last year that had like better odds than them though? Like only at 480 still seems like it's not compared to this year. I think I saw that to make the playoffs they're like plus 190. So
Yeah.
Compared to last year, the odds are much
they
different.
really weren't, and also too like there was no like top draft prospect that was going to come out. I think that definitely also plays into that factor. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah, No group of 5 team. It's like, oh, here's this future first-round draft pick that plays an important position
Yeah,
that just dominates.
And I think that's where the transfer portal comes in. Because all those guys are transferring to these big names to try and get noticed. So,
yeah,
we'll see on that end.
It is crazy how that just kind of outweighs everything, and what a world we live in. Who would have thought? All right, we look at that efficiency. Look how quickly we got through all of those.
I think one thing we should talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is because we haven't done it yet. Heisman winner.
Oh, there we go. Yes,
we haven't done Heisman winner yet.
I know it's not the group here, but if we want to throw out any like futures that we haven't really mentioned that we just love, we can kind of dabble in those here to end 15 minutes or so.
Virginia doesn't allow opinion-based bets.
Well, listen. Let's imagine that you lived in
So I don't have the odds because I haven't bothered to look it up on my own.
Let's do this right now. When you look at in the past, right? You're looking at guys. So right now, the odds-on favorites obviously Arch at +7. So Garrett Nussmeier, I have
Arch.
Him.
Arch Mann is the favorite, not Cade
No,
Klubnik.
I have Caden Garrett Nussmeier at +900. Is what I'm looking at. And then Jeremiah Smith at +1100. Ty Simpson +1600, which I think is wild that he is higher odds than Drew Aller, Carson Beck, DJ Lagway.
Well, isn't that a system thing though, right? Alabama's going to throw the ball. They brought back their offensive coordinator. The Penn State's going to be more like Notre Dame, aren't they? Drew Aller's more. I mean, I would like Drew Aller to throw the ball more, but isn't he just going to be more of that quote unquote game manager again? And they just run with Singleton and Katron Allen.
Yes, so. Well, we'll see what happens. I think so. The thing that stuck out to me, and I want to get this before this number even groups up a little bit, because this guy started off when the odds opened at 25-1, and he is now down to 18-1. So I want to jump on this before, because when you look at the way that I look at it is when you look at trying to bet a Heisman winner, you look at in the past, you look at Kyler Murray, you look at Baker Mayfield, you look at guys that have the stories about them, right? Like last year with Travis Hunter, the story was guy playing 2 ways, don't normally see it, like Heisman winner right there. But this year I'm looking at a quarterback, a lot of hype around him, kind of disappointed in the first half of the year, and then towards the back half of the year, he balled out for his squad. He's going to be like, there's a sneaky chance that this team is going to make college football playoff again this year. They play in probably the second hardest conference in the country behind the Big Ten. It's Lenore Sellers at 18-1.
Mm-hmm.
The goggle man himself. 18-1 right now, you can get him at.
The agenda.
It's the agenda. You have to trust the agenda. And I think the agenda is going to be to get South Carolina back into the swing of things. And how do you do that? You get a guy like Lenore Sellers to win the Heisman, which I believe would be the first time in South Carolina football history.
If they go like 10-2, he's definitely having a year that is invite to New York worthy, right? Like, I feel like he's not there. It's not like he's their only good player by a long shot, but it seems like that's their path.
So I'll tell you right now, the 4 guys I think are going to New York. They're going to obviously, it's going to be Arch. I think Nussmeier will be there. I think Lenore Sellers will be there. And surprisingly, I don't think Cade's going to be there. They need a big name. You know who fits their big name? Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, low key. I was listening to a pod today, and they were talking about all the Heisman guys, and I was like, they brought up Jeremiah Smith, and I was like, yeah, I think Jeremiah Smith is who I would honestly pick to win the Heisman.
I think if he can have a year with the potential, the big question mark at quarterback, if he can put up numbers like he did last year, I think there's a chance that that a receiver wins it again for the second year. But then I feel like no, because I feel like they're going to try and set it up where he wins it in 2027. So that's why I'm looking quarterback to win it this year. It's all in gender here. I think they wanted to go down between Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams in 2027. That's going to be their big buy right there.
That would
And
be something.
And I think with Lenore's going potentially into the draft next year, I think this is the time to give it to him. 18-1, I can't pass it up, especially when it opened at 25.
Anybody who, I'm just going to say this now, anybody who wants to book Jackson Arnold at 25-1, Gunnar Stockton at 25-1, anyone who wants to book those two bets, you can follow me on Twitter at Joe the Show QCSN. I will book them personally for you. Let me see. I'm trying to think here. Who else? Sawyer.
I mean, for Jeremiah
Sawyer
Smith,
Robinson, 65-1. Let's go.
Hey, I'll give you a sleeper right now because I'm high on them, and if they make the college football playoff, there's a chance that he finishes within the top 4 of the Heisman, and that's my boy Avery Johnson at 50-1.
So you are like that's your Big 12 pick, right? Is K-State? That's who you're big on?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today, and I know I'm a week late on it. Kansas State as a program kind of needs him to be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they don't have egg on their face because of the Will Howard thing, but they willingly said, yeah, you can go kick rocks. And then Avery Johnson last year was kind of mid. And if he's mid again, it's like, it's a bit unfair, but it's like, hey, you let this guy who walked go win a national title for a guy who sucks, which I think Avery Johnson can be good. I was playing the other side of that coin. I'm not saying you're wrong, man. They're one of the few teams in the Big 12 that I actually think can, like, they're probably the team I have the most faith in, I would say also.
Hey, you know what the fuck?
he just needs to be more accurate. If he can get his accuracy up, that team can easily make the college football.
You know what the funny thing is I'm looking for a specific guy that someone talked very highly about the show, and I can't find him. Oh, wait, there he is. At plus 25,000. Oh, I don't know. Luke Altmaier. Tickle your fancy a little bit, Joe, at 250-1.
No, I'm not that crazy. I'm a realist.
Hey, if they beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
Look, man. Just get. I don't care who wins what awards. Just win the games. That's all I'm here to. That's all I'll care about at the end of the day.
With Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, I know, again, it is playing up for next year, but do you even think they win next year? I mean, when's the last time just a wide receiver?
Devontae Smith.
Has Hunter played both ways?
Yeah, Devontae Smith.
Right, okay. Yeah.
I know you don't think about that because you can't do that down in where you're from, but Devontae Smith 2020 was a lock of the century for me. Because I was picking one of the Bama wide receivers, and he just looked to be the best one. So, we've done that, and we haven't gone over this yet because, you got week 0 coming up in a few weeks, and we're going to go over all of those games and stuff like that. But we haven't gone over who everybody likes to win the national title.
Okay. Our way too early
predictions. July 31st, 2025. We're here. Gotham Gambling, represented by Danny, is Wake Forest at whatever those odds are.
Let it rip. Oh, man.
Plus 55
million. They're lower than Akron, it looked like, for a second. Hold on.
Lower than Akron? That's crazy.
So they were plus 90,000. Akron is plus 450,000. Just on the list there, they were higher. That's why it fucked me up a little bit.
I don't want to pick them because they're the favorite, but I would probably have to pick Texas. So Steve, who is stuck in Chicago, I'm representing for you, my friend.
See, I think they have the same issues that they had last year. They have a soccer problem. I think they have a soccer problem. I think that's why they don't win the national championship. I'm going to tell you right now. You know who I think is going to win the national championship this year? It's two.
Okay.
One, for value, I'm gonna say LSU at plus 1100. But I'm telling you right now, this is the year. I'm buying it in the wagon a little bit here. This is the year. On FanDuel, you can get them at plus 800 to win it. I'm taking Penn State. Because
I had a feeling that's where you were going to go.
Here's my issue here. If James Franklin doesn't win with the group that he has now, he will never win a national championship as a head coach.
Does he even beat Ohio
Yes, I
State
do
this
think
year?
they beat Ohio State this year.
At
At the
Horseshoe?
Horseshoe, I think they beat Ohio State this year. I'm telling you, my issue with Ohio
I mean, they should have won
My
last
issue with
year.
Ohio State this year is when you look at the starting quarterback, you're now giving it to saying if they trusted him as much as they do now, why did they bring in Will Howard last year? I'm taking Drew Aller over there because I think he's going to be the future number 1 pick after winning the national championship. The agenda's there. Give me Penn State.
Yeah, and at the end of the day last year, Ohio State kind of had a super team assembled. Like,
Spent all that money.
like the combination of the guys they got in the portal plus the guys they retained, like they got a good amount back, but they lost some dudes, you know, at the end of the day. So I just think repeating is going to be pretty damn tough.
As good as Jeremiah Smith is, he doesn't have an Amika Improvement to go off.
No, like Cardell Tate, he's good,
healthy,
but he's not like I don't think he's great. Famous last words, you know, but no, I had a feeling you were going to say Penn State because I remember how we were talking during the Big Ten show, and I don't disagree. I like them a lot. I just think Texas, and I like Sark, so I disagree I disagree to an extent with they have a Sark problem quote, but you're not crazy to say that. Sark has his warts. Sark has his warts, that's for sure. But I just think they've done such a good job of gathering talent, in my opinion. That's kind of where I'm at with them.
Hey,
and it's not even me like on the Arch Manning train, which I know that's the easy route, but it's as a whole.
Steve, I'm taking a shot on Brian Kelly because of Garrett Nussmeier. It has nothing to do with Brian Kelly. Okay? Let's just call a spade here. Okay? Now, did I say that was going to be my thing? No. They're clearly, and I was looking at Bally Sports. I wasn't even looking at FanDuel. FanDuel, they have a 19-1. That's called a value pick, Steve. I don't know if you've been gambling long enough, but a value pick like that, I'll throw a little money at it. Shame on me if it doesn't hit. But Penn State plus 800 is 100% going to be my thing. I called Ohio State to win last year. I'm throwing my shot at Penn State this year.
Yeah, I think like Georgia and Bama being that high is pretty crazy.
Well, Bama is 13-1.
Yeah, FanDuel I have 11-1.
Well, I'm 11-1. Yeah.
Still though, they're fifth or sixth odds depending on where you're looking.
Their quarterback situation is not good either.
Yeah, I don't think Bama's that good. I mean, I don't think Bama's great.
I mean, I think a lot of teams' quarterback situation this year is not. We don't know what
it's going to be fascinating. That's for sure.
That's why I know Penn State has one, and I know they have a good running back duel behind them. So here's my money. Take it, please.
My biggest concern with Penn State, and I think I mentioned this on the Big Ten show, is who are their skill players? Who are their pass catchers going to be? Because Tyler Warren, he hit a lot of red flags in that pass catcher room. Like, who's gonna be stepping up in that area? That's the only thing. That's honestly with them the only thing I worry about because they've never had a dynamic receiver with Franklin there. I mean, okay, I lied. Other than Chris Godwin,
I'm telling you right now, Trevor Pena is going to be good. Kid coming in from Syracuse.
Didn't they bring? Yeah, I thought they brought in.
So they got him. They got Kyron Hudson from USC, who I think has potential there. And then Devontae Ross, who I believe is from Troy, who had 76 receptions, over 1,000 receiving yards, and 11 touchdowns last year. So they have those three guys, which are talent that are coming in.
And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just like last year they had Julian Fleming, the kid that was at Ohio State, come in, and he kind of didn't do much.
Yeah.
And I think he might have been plagued with injuries too, so that's probably a little bit unfair. But still, it's just okay, where is it going to come from? You know. So we'll see. I'm surprised. Kev, did you actually give a pick on anyone?
No, I'm so gun to my head. Right now, way too early. I'll take.
I was gonna
Clemson.
say no one picked Clemson,
Me-
but then I realized I didn't ask you yet. So
Give me Cade Klubnik. Give me Dabo. He knows how to win. Their defense is pretty strong. Plus, they play in a weaker conference, so shouldn't necessarily be as beat up going into the
Peter
playoffs.
Woods looks like a monster.
we'll learn a lot week 1 when they play LSU if that defense is as legit as it seems they're going to be. Because if they are, I don't think they'll shut down LSU because Nuss and they got some talent on that offense, obviously, but it's at home. If that defense is as nasty as we think it's, if they put LSU in a blender, then yeah, we might have to kneel at the throne of Dabo again, saying little Clemson while they're just mopping teams. So yeah, let's see. We got our Natty, we got the Heisman. I think we did good today.
I think we did good too. I think now that it's August and we're going to slowly start transitioning into the NFL, I'm getting more antsy.
It is going to start getting very, very, we are going to start rolling through things here. So Monday or Tuesday night, my guy Brinksy and we did our guess the lines for the NFL win totals. That was fun. And now we're inching into everything. So the next week, Don, how do we have it kind of set up? Are we going to go through each? So the next few weeks, are we going to go like through the wests, easts, norths, souths, like not in that order, but is it going to be kind of like that for the pods? Or no, here we go. My bad. Here we go. So I see it in the chat now. I'll let you go ahead and go through it.
Yeah. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to do. So next week we're going to do our preview of the NFC. So we're going to go over every NFC's win total and stuff like that. Our odds to win each division, our odds to who we think is going to represent the NFC. Then the following week we will do the AFC. The week after that we'll do player futures and any other futures that we have involved lined up. And then the week after that, it'll be player futures / we'll transition to week 0 of college football as well during the episode because that'll be on that Saturday. And then the week after that, we will be getting ready to get back into the normal swing of things for us on our show, going over the slate of the games for the week. So we're right there, fellas. We're right there. And again, make sure with us, you follow us on Twitter at I don't even fucking know what he has his Twitter as anymore. And it's so bad.
So Danny's in general is the one that we're live on right now is Gotham Gambling. We're also live on Facebook on YouTube right now at For Frequency Sake.
Mm-hmm.
The Substack forfrequencysake.substack.com.
Make sure to follow us at Gold Ticket Show.
There you go.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start giving out our golden tickets every day. So basically, we're giving you our best plays every day, and then we're just kind of making sure that you guys are ready. The Substack's gonna have a lot of content coming forward here, as every single day, Monday through Friday, we will have our fantasy preview for a team, and then after that, we will do. They start next week on the Substack. You'll see more of a breakdown of each division. We'll go over all that stuff as well. Basically, the Substack is just a place where you'll see like all of our writing aspect of it, because we can sit here on a show, but we don't want to sit here for 3+ hours to talk about literally everything. So this is why we write it on Substack. But yeah, there's a lot of things coming up for the boys. It's going to be a busy fall. And then make sure you guys are also following us individually. Joe is at Joe the Show, QCSN. Kev is at Heels0809. Myself at CJones2, Don Corleone of Sports Gambling. Make sure, again, Gotham Gambling, you're following at Gotham Gambling. Fast Breaks. Steve, maybe he can hit a NASCAR bet this weekend. We'll see.
Hey, he did pretty good last weekend. Shout out to our guy.
You know what, man? I gotta ride him a little bit. It's fine. He needs a little bit of a humbling.
Yeah, everyone could be humbled. Also, too, since as long as Danny doesn't get another new shift, Thursdays are the days now for the Golden Ticket Show. So during the season, it's kind of going to be like our weekend gambling preview, kind of a Thursday night football watch along if the game isn't a disaster.
Mhm.
Not really watch along, but we'll be maybe do some mini reactions to it while we're on here. But also, right after that, pretty much at the conclusion of the Thursday night game, it'll be me and Danny. We'll be live on the Educated Ignorance podcast as well for the $100 picks, which is the new gimmick. The Sinister Six has been moved to the Golden Ticket Show. That our first Sinister Six parlay is going to probably be going into week 0. I'm sure we'll cook something up for college football for that week. And then we'll be doing that each week on Thursdays. But Thursday nights, and it'll be out on the socials, and obviously we'll repost it on Friday mornings as well. The $100 picks, where I will take $100 every week of fake money, and we will throw it on everything. And Danny will tell me if I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. And yeah, we're just gonna, we're gonna put it all together. It's a ripoff of $1 Million Picks. Shout out to the Bill Simmons podcast. But
Fake money.
Huh?
Fake money. What kind of bullshit is this?
I don't have that type of bankroll to be throwing $100 of real money. I'm just not yet anyway. When
All right, well then, hey, live on the air, Danny. I hope you're watching. I'm coming on, and I will do $100 worth of actual money.
That's fine. So I'm just saying that's the gig. The gig on the podcast I listen to is they'd call it the $1 Million Picks, and it's obviously they're throwing like $250,000 out here with $100 picks. So it's just a gimmick, My bankroll might be at the 10th unit of whatnot. Regardless, I'm just saying for me, it's a thing. Regardless what we are at, it's going to be fun. We've got so many things that are coming. Make sure you guys are all locked in and juiced and ready to go. And yeah, I think that is it. So make sure you follow us. Enjoy. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us on all the platforms tonight. Lock in tomorrow for our fantasy forecast on the Substack, as well as probably we'll have some weekend stuff ready for the baseball weekend coming ahead. Great times are ahead as we are inching towards August here in a couple hours. So football is on the horizon. Thanks to everybody hanging out with us. For Don and Kev. Shout out to Steve and Danny. We'll see them back next weekend. This has been the Golden Ticket Show. We will see you guys next week back here on Thursday night. We are